features 8 Japanese models and no domestic models from any of the big three, GM, Ford, or Chrysler. So we got to fix this. In fact, we are now joined by Lauren Fix, the car coach automotive expert. Joe Lavorgny is here with me, and so is Wilbur Ross. Okay, I'm just going to read a couple. I want you to tell me Consumer Reports. You may not agree with them.
Okay.
Honda Accord, Lexus, Subaru, Mazda. Nobody from Detroit is in the top half of their list. What's up with that?
I don't agree with it. I think there's a lot of politics involved. Manufacturers want you to pick a side. Is it black or white? Make a stand. What's the recommendations? Who's good and who's not? And that's really difficult to do that. I mean, I write for AOL Autos as an independent, and I can tell you...
What are they missing? Just give me a for instance.
Okay, all right, they're missing. For example, I think that the Ford Fusion is a phenomenal car.
All right, now, wait, hang on. To be honest with them, they did test the Ford Fusion hybrid, and they liked it. They called it an up-and-coming car. I actually read this article.
Okay.
It's not my usual ball of wax, but I actually read it. But they did like the Ford Fusion.
Okay.
But many other boys, Buick, Chrysler, Ford, Lincoln, Jeep, Dodge, Wilbur, what's up with that?
Well, I think to compare a Jeep to a Lexus is a little bit silly. They're totally different price points, totally different purpose to the vehicle. So to say Jeep is in the bottom category, within its own real category, who's better than Jeep? I'm not sure that there's anybody. So I think they painted with too broad a brush. But if you're in the business of making lists, you got to make a change every year, otherwise nobody will read your list that you publish. So I don't think it's too surprising that they'd come out with something this year all Japanese, maybe next year it'll be all Germans. Hard to imagine that no German car qualifies as a
that's
good
an
car.
interesting point, because in the article they mentioned that Honda, they like the Honda Accord. The Honda Accord Honda wasn't on any of their lists last year.
Right.
So this year they've got it on the list. Now, what do you make of American cars? We bailed out General Motors. We bailed out Chrysler. I might add, I own a Lincoln, which is made by Ford, which was not bailed out. Do you think that was the correct decision? Is it being repaid by quality automobiles?
I think so, Larry. I mean, I think the quality control of these vehicles certainly has improved. The market share for some of these companies has stabilized. We know auto sales are picking up. We may have hit 15.5 in the month of February. The American makers are part of that.
Talk to me about car sales. This is a big
sure,
story.
I think
Underrated.
it's
been ramping up for how long?
It's been ramping up. And also, let's not forget trucks, because trucks are bigger share now than cars. So that's part of the story you were alluding to earlier. We're just looking at cars. Maybe we should include trucks. But the point is, there's a lot of pent-up demand because the fleet is very old. It's aging, and consumers need to buy new cars and trucks. The fact that they are buying cars and trucks, by all anecdotal information, suggests maybe this payroll tax hike and some of the other concerns we have. I think it matters, but not as much as people are. Not as much.
It didn't matter when they cut it, and it's a temporary rebate. But this is an important story, and they're getting credit. They're getting credit, right? That's coming alive now for the auto purchases.
Well, credit and cheap credit. Very few cars are bought for cash.
Right.
If you think about the ads on television, they never even say what the price of the car is. They say how much per month, because the vast majority of people in this country live month to month. And so all they really care about is what does it cost me per month, not the absolute price.
All right, Lauren, what about those? I'm down in this bottom six thing. Buick.
Okay.
Buick, Chrysler, Ford. I love my Lincoln, but Buick, Chrysler, Ford, then they have Dodge at the absolute bottom of the list. Is it so bad?
No, it isn't, actually. If you look at some of the product that's coming out of Chrysler, the Uconnect system, which is their technical interface, between you and the driver, just won an AOL Technology of the Year award. It's one of the few systems that actually works as it's stated. Have you ever used the BMW iDrive? I'll tell you what, I don't know how BMW got in the list when there's a lot of other great cars that fit into that category, including the Cadillac ATS, which I just test drove, and I have to say, it's a really great car. And yes, its rankings weren't that far behind, but I really think there's a lot of domestics that got shortchanged, including in sports cars.
What's the best car? Give me your pick. What's the best car?
Well, that's the biggest question I get. What's the best car? There's no general car. I mean, as far as manufacturers, I think VW Group makes some of the best cars that are out there right now.
That's not from Detroit.
I know that, but they're built here in the U.S. and they're giving us jobs. VW is building the Passat
so that qualifies
here.
as U.S.
It's giving us money in the U.S. You got Chattanooga, Tennessee. They're building VW Passats there. And I also think that they overlooked on this list the VW Jetta diesel. Diesel is completely overlooked, and it is a hybrid that gets better fuel economy than a lot of the hybrids that are out there. I mean, I have a diesel. I just fell in love with it. I think it's fantastic. And now Chevy is coming out with their own diesel, which I think is genius. yes.
All right, diesel is very interesting. Diesel fuel, that's a fossil fuel. Are the hybrids going to make it, Wilbur? Are the electric battery cars going to make it?
I think you need to have radical changes in battery technology for them to work. They're too heavy, they're too bulky, too limited in range. So the hybrid is a way of making an even more complicated vehicle, because now you've got a combustion engine plus an electric one. I frankly think that better than that would be the gas-powered thing.
I got to get out. I owned a hybrid SUV. I won't name the name, but it was a disaster. Lauren Fix, thank you. Joe Livornia, Wilbur Ross, you're all great to do this. That's it for this evening's show. I'm Larry Kudlow. I own an American car, and they didn't get a bailout either. We will see you tomorrow night to talk capitalism.
Country that is addicted to imprisonment. These companies have a financial incentive to keep people locked up for